Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Diggin It. I'm Eric Richey, your host, and so glad you're with us. We took a couple of weeks off after the school let out. We've been all over the place, beach volleyball, club volleyball tournaments, but now we're back to the podcast, and we've got a good show for you here today. We're talking about Shawn Ledig. He is, just an instrumental part of the local volleyball community. Lives up on the North Shore, but he is around tournaments in Baton Rouge and New Orleans, and you might have noticed that he's segued from beach volleyball to jiu-jitsu. So we're going to talk to Shawn in just a little bit. He's our first guest. And then Gelon Brandon is the club director for Core Elite. And I want to talk to Coach Gelon. She not only coaches one of her teams, but really started from scratch. And they went from one team the first year. They now have 11 teams at Core Elite, 7 of which are headed to Orlando for AAU Nationals. So we talked to Coach Gelon Brandon in just a little bit. But as we do, we start with some local winners on the club volleyball scene. And we're going to start with WD Nation. And the 15s Blue won gold at Southern Exposure in Atlanta. You see Danny Tullis in the upper right. His team is unbelievable. This team did not lose a set in Atlanta, and this on the heels of winning gold at AAU Super Regionals the week before in New Orleans. Now, we don't stop with just the 15s Blue when we're talking WD Nations. How about the 17 Blues? They win gold in Atlanta as well. Also, repeating as champions at AAU Nationals in New Orleans. I want to talk about one of their players right there in the middle, second from the right. That is Amaya Evans from St. Amant. Wonderful player, really a difference maker, and we wish her success in the coming high school season as well. Hey, one more team for WD Nation to talk about, the 16s, and that's coached by Taylor Richey, formerly Conaway. Her married name is Tyler Richey. It'll be her first year as the head coach at Mount Carmel. She has a couple players on that Mount Carmel team. Right next to her is Julia Savoie, the second from the right end, Giselle Estrada. Right there in the middle is the center, Emily Caracci. Really, really good team. Coach Taylor's team finished second in Atlanta, and they had just finished third in New Orleans. Also, you're talking about Reese Foster down there just below Coach Taylor in the front row, the far left. And on the far right, on the lower right, is Hannah Ellis. She's the setter from Fountain Blue. Really, really good setter. And very happy for that team to have a lot of success this past weekend at Atlanta. Speaking of success, kind of goes hand in hand with this next team we're talking about. We've talked about them since blast off in New Orleans. NOLA 16-1 travel team. They win gold at the NOLA AAU Super Regionals. Some unbelievable players on this team as well. There's Lauren Pipitone. She's wearing the blue libero shirt, the lower right there in the middle. But up top, the 4 girls kind of in the middle up there, they are the twin towers for both Ben Franklin and Country Day. Jane Gamble and Liv Beverly up there with Annika Robertson and Corey Stays. There's talent all over this team, and I'll wait till Nationals probably to say the rest of these players. But they come from McDonough at 35. They come from Dominican. They come from Haynes. They come from John Curtis. All over the place. What a wonderful team. And their head coach, speaking of John Curtis, Alex Carter, who's not in that picture, she is the new head coach at John Curtis, the new head coach. She was the assistant, and Julie Hartley announced her retirement the last couple of weeks since we've done the show. So there you have it, some of the local winners. But wait, there's one more. Core Elite, the 12s, also winners of gold at NOLA AAU Super Regionals. And this is significant because the club director of Core Elite, Gelon Brandon, will join us later in the show. So from club volleyball, we segue into beach volleyball. For our first guest, we head up to the North Shore and join a good friend and a great competitor, great coach, and an all-around athlete. We're talking about Shawn Ledig. Everybody knows you around here, Shawn. So good to have you on the show finally. And tell us how everything's going for you, man. I know there's a lot to get to on our list, but, man, how are you doing? How's things going for you and your family?
Doing well. Everybody's doing well. just got back from California, competed in the International Masters in Jiu-Jitsu, and ended up doing pretty good, pretty well. I ended up with double gold, so that was a big feat. So we were in California for the past week. We just got home, so trying to transition back into everything, and can't complain.
Oh my gosh, we're going to get into that in depth too. And it's like, the pictures on your Instagram were so cool. Even leaving with your family, that shot of you guys walking through the terminal, getting on the plane, and then there's some shots we're going to see a little later of them. I know that's so important. Family is a huge part of your life.
Yeah, it's the biggest part of my life actually. So, and that's with those guys. The good thing is with the sports that I've been blessed to be able to play in, and the activities that I've done, they're always there. So it makes it a lot easier.
No question, no question. Okay, let's start with our basic question with all of our guests on Diggin' It is, how in the world did this volleyball bug bite you? When did you get started in volleyball? And I know you're an athlete. I know you played football and other sports, and you're tall. You're over 6 foot. You're athletic. How did volleyball start for you?
Volleyball started for me. It's funny enough. I was in engineering school. Came over to UNO, and one of the girls that was actually in engineering school with me, Jane Duncan, she actually played for UNO's team. So when I was playing basketball, and and we were talking one day, and she said, "Have you ever played volleyball?" I was like, just pick up stuff, or maybe stuff at a barbecue or things like that, nothing major. And she said, "Well, you should come out and play with us at Coconut Beach." Now, this was after Katrina too, so Coconut Beach had actually been decimated, and Bruce was building it back. Funny story is, the first time I went to Coconut Beach, me and Bruce talked about this last week at his final
Bruce
tournament.
White, we're talking.
Yeah, Bruce White, and him and I were talking last week. But I had this orange shirt on, and it was like 2007, 8, something like that. Well, I just went to go play with Jane and a few of her friends, and we got out there, and somehow there was a camera crew that was out there. So all of a sudden we played, and I had a blast, and so did some other basketball players and some of the guys that came out there with us. She was teaching us how to play, or trying to show us how to play, and people had called me that night, or they were messaging me. They're like, "Do you play volleyball?" I was like, "No, I just went out today to go hang out with some friends." And lo and behold, I was actually on the news channel, on the evening news. So I was like, "Wow, that's funny." This, didn't ever been out there before, and I was on there, and they could probably, if I look back, it probably was ridiculous watching me play. But so a couple of, that year, a few years had passed by, but I would go out to Coconut Beach, and I would just go watch. Gave up drinking as soon as my oldest son Seth was born. That's something I've been 19 years now, so been sober. And so I basically would go out there. I didn't want to go out to bars in New Orleans. I didn't want to get caught up in that, lifestyle downtown. And so I'd go out there to watch him. And about a year, maybe 6 months in a year, I got on a team, like on court 8 or 10, something down like that. And I was playing, and Bruce and another guy, Saul actually was like, "Have you ever played this?" I was like, "No, I've never played." And he was like, "Well, we're gonna have to move you up on some courts." So, but the funny thing was, I went back to Jane. I was like, "Jane," I said, "Man," I said, "I love this. Beach volleyball is awesome." She's like, "I'm glad you had fun, because you suck." And I was like, "Thanks, Jane." I mean, look, and Jane's she's great. She's coached in New Orleans, and she's an engineer with me as well. And she's played even after graduation.
What's her last name? Jane?
Jane Duncan.
Got it.
Yeah. And so after that, I just played in leagues for a couple of leagues, and then just moved up, got to court 3 with some friends of mine, and it was a blast. Thought I was having a good time. And then we just graduated, and one day Bruce was like, "I need to put you on court 1." And I'm like, "Bruce, I've never even practiced this." I was like, "I just come out here during like Thursday nights at Coconut Beach, the old Coconut Beach where Bruce White was running everything." It was it was almost surreal now when you look back at it. I mean, it was 21 courts, filled 4 to 5 days a week with 8 teams. I mean, you couldn't beat it. On Thursday nights, it was like going out in New Orleans. I mean, the court 1, and we were talking about this, me and Cheese and Andre and some other guys the other day at the AVP, they would have 6 people deep on court 1 watching, like Eric Poré and Squirrel and Derek. And I mean, look, they were awesome battles out there. And I'm looking at Bruce, I was like, "There's no way I can play with these guys, man." He was like, "Well, sorry, but you got to go." So he put me on a team called the Sandy Crotches. and it was Bert, and it was an older team, but I mean they welcomed me because they could use a younger person on the team and athletic.
Now,
And
how old are you right now? Give me a time frame. Where are we talking?
I'm 47. So I went back to school after basketball for engineering, and so I was a little older. So I was in my early 30s when I first started playing league. So I was right around that 33, 34-year-old age, and then I played on court one with Bert and Brenda Kikuchi and a bunch. It's just a big team that they have a lot of players. So
Yeah.
we won some, we lost some, and actually we'd win games that we weren't supposed to win, but it was awesome. And look, this was wild because it was like a 6-man. So you never see that anymore. It's like I don't even know what I would do if I had to get on a court with 4, much less 6 now. So used to doubles, and so we get there, and I played with them for about a year, and then I started, I was like, hey, I want to play a doubles tournament. So me and my buddy Jonathan Matei, we had been practicing together and like just going out to Coconut Beach because back then you could go out to Coconut Beach and you'd always find people to play. Didn't matter what day it was, when it was. We'd stay out at Coconut Beach back then until like 11:30 or 12 at night. Me, Jason Harrell, Brittany Harrell, who actually they own Point Break. That was one of my first, quads teams, that I would play with.
Yeah.
Me, Jason, Jonathan Matei, and so me and Jonathan, I was like, hey, let's play a doubles tournament. And we both knew we weren't probably ready, but we were going to do it anyway. Just 2 athletic guys. So we go and I go to get there Saturday and I sign up. So so we're sitting at the tournament. I'm waiting on my partner to show up, Jonathan Matei. Well, he doesn't show up. So I called him and he couldn't make it. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, Bruce, Jonathan's not going to make it. And he's sitting there looking at me and I'm walking around looking for somebody to play with him. Finally, he starts grumbling. I'll play with you.
He plays.
I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, so people are like, Bruce is going to play. So Bruce, but Bruce, he takes off his combat boots, goes and gets a pair of shorts. He goes and gets a pair of these shorts with like little dangly balls on them, like he must have had them packed away somewhere in like the pro shop. And then he puts on a t-shirt and we played and we actually first time ever we broke pool. He's yelling at me the entire time, swing at the ball. He passes everything for me to hit. They knew, thank God they didn't serve me much that day. I don't know why they didn't, because I would have served me every ball. But we ended up breaking pool. We lost in the playoffs to Chad Jackson and Dan Corman. And they always pick with me about it to this day. They're like, remember that time we beat you? I was like, yeah, I do. So I thought I was in good shape. And after that, I told Bruce, I said, I'm so glad we lost. He's like, what? I was like, I'm about to die, And he was like, you're an athlete. I was like, I know. So that was the bug right then. I was like,
you got bit. You went from court like 9 or 10 all the way up to 1 in a short period of time. And I know just from my daughter Emma training and working out with you throughout the last couple of years, you're big into the goal setting and writing down things, objectives. I don't know if you have that mentality and philosophy. Look at you. You have it right there.
I got it.
That's my question. Did you put your goal, I want to be an AVP player? And how long did it take you from the time you started to the time you literally became a pro beach volleyball player? And we've got pictures back of you in the day playing AVP.
I mean, so I didn't at first. I just started playing, local tournaments, and Bruce would throw. And these were all. I was an A, and the first big tournament I played was a Corona Wide Open. Still me and Matei, and we won, and we did fairly well in the A division. We didn't win, but that right there showed me like what the upper guys could do. Like, look, Derek was playing in that one, Andre, Cheese, Scott, and look, they hung with all the guys that came in town. So that right there kind of told me, I was like, you know what? I think this is I like this. This is pretty good. So I actually ended up getting talked to by Jim Shane and Jeff Skiro. And those two, they had played MVP back in the day. And Jeff actually wanted to come back and play. So that was kind of like something that was a blessing for me. So I actually started to train, play by 2 people that knew the game probably probably better than anybody else, and they still do. Jim Shane's his IQ is one of the highest. He's like a Joey Keener in a sense, as far as like he's been around the game that long. He knows a lot about it. Jeff was just a stud athlete that played. He's one of the nastiest lefties. He's like an Evan Corey of his day. You know what I mean, or a Matt Blank. And so they picked me up, and then me and Jeff, we had pretty good success right off the bat. Me being big and athletic, Jeff just being who he was, and I still, at that point in time, I was still running off of athleticism. It wasn't until 2013, me and Bryce Powers got together, and then we went to our first NVL tournament in Dallas. Now that's when the AVP had went bankrupt. in the NVL, and me and Bryce were straight off of athleticism playing. I mean, just two 6'5", 6'5" guys,
Yeah.
just playing together. And I mean, if the ball was in the air, we were going to put it down. That's basically how it went. And our jump serve, we were going to jump serve tough. We were just going to play tough. And
Yeah.
we ended up, we won some sets. We lost our matches. And then I was like, and that was it. That was it. I said, I know, that I know that I've got a lot to learn and I've got a lot to refine, but I know that I can do this. And then, of course, at that time I'm 36 something, 37 maybe.
These pictures that we're looking at, Shawn, where are these from, or how deep into your?
So that right there was 2017, 18, and that's me and David Lee from the Olympics, the USA, the 2008 Olympic team. That was San Francisco AVP.
Okay.
So me and Billy Jones had played against him in art.
Yeah.
And so that was on center court right there. But that was, it wasn't until 2016, I got out of the engineering field and I went and I got into the oil business, and I went up to Ohio, and I met a bunch of guys from Ohio that I'd already met from the NVL. Corey Robertson, he was a promoter up there that he ran Flanagan's, and so he had a big circuit volleyball. He was with the NVL as well. And the NVL was very inviting to me. And I played with Jake Cockton. And that's the first time I really got with a group of guys that were practicing fundamentals and the things, because that's what I never knew. I never got coached. I wasn't like 10, 15 years old whenever I was learning how to pass. Danny Tullis was the first person to ever pick me up and coach me, or he worked with me first on passing. But it's such a detailed thing. That's why whenever I go to coach girls in passing, it's like that's why I do it the way I do. And thanks to Joey Keener and Drew Hamilton and other guys like that, it's been refined, because that's the most important thing. But that was the first time I had a group of guys in Cincinnati, and I had a group of guys in Columbus, and I would go out there and train with them 4 or 5 days a week. So 2016 I'm already in my 40s by then. I'm 41. And so that's whenever I began to transition into playing my best ball. And it was a click up here. And then that's whenever I got with my buddy Cameron Beans, who was a phenomenal player. He's still playing right now. He was in New Orleans for the AVP, and I didn't get to see him, but I missed him. But they did fairly well. And he's a great athlete, great coach out there on the East Coast. Yeah. And so that is whenever I started to not physically mature, because of course my athletic ability was kind of on a downslope, but my IQ and my understanding of the game was coming up. It's just one of those, Father Time. It's
that's
one of those
amazing.
things.
Hey, that's an amazing story right there. You're in your 40s playing your best beach volleyball of your life. You barely played the sport, barely a decade. So, you still mess around playing. I know you still play, but you've been coaching. You talked about your oldest son, Seth. That's when you and I met, was when, during the COVID year, nobody could get into a gym that summer. And so everybody was playing beach volleyball. And that's when Emma was playing a bunch, and we'd go up to Diggs and, we're like, hey, what about a story on the boys beach volleyball? So in that indoor facility, beach indoor, how he had it half court and half beach. Yeah. That's where we did our first story, and we've got video of that. Tell us about what it was like coaching your son Seth, and the Lewandowskis and those guys. There's so much talent on the boys' side of beach volleyball.
Yeah, I mean, you look at those three right there just alone, and some of the other boys in Louisiana. But coaching my son, that's one reason I wanted to stay in the game, is because I wanted to do things with him. And, he's a good athletic lefty. I mean, he's matured. He's played football. He played other sports in high school, but this was the one. I mean, he took off with it. And of course you have Josh Lewandowski. Those two playing together was ridiculous. I mean, they're young 15, 16-year-old boys that whenever they'd hit the ball, they look like, young men. And then of course his older brother, he's at MIT. They're both, Nathan's at MIT. So they were an easy group to coach. Needless to say, of course, coaching your son or your kid is probably the hardest thing to do, because I would tell him something, and then I'd hand him. Drew would come in and work with him, and he would say something like, "Oh, Coach Drew told me the same thing you did." I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Good," but it would resonate with him because it was somebody else talking to him, and I was fine with me and Drew would laugh about it all the time. But I mean, and Drew, and then I let Drew work with him as well, and then Drew worked with him and I together, because we did play some tournaments together, and I had a blast. And that was one of the reasons I continued. I really wanted to continue to play, was to play with him. And so he's up in Denver now, and he's playing up there in like Fort Collins, and he's getting back into the game. He's up there for work.
He's getting back into it.
Yes, and I told him, I said, so I got to, he wanted me to ship him four volleyballs last week. I said, I got you.
Nice.
So I'm going to ship him a few, and hopefully, he'll come back down and come play a little bit. But up there, they've got some good competition in Colorado.
Yeah.
So I told him, I said, look, work, play, have fun, get ready for school and stuff like that. So that's one reason I continue to coach him and play with him is, it's quality time. I did the same thing with Stella too.
Yeah.
And she played a little indoor. She still plays beach every now and then, but she plays tennis and does powerlifting. So, she'll throw it in the mix somewhere in there. But that's why I do the things I did with the kids, because it was, I love this sport. I love to play, and I wish I could still play at a high level. But the one thing I got to do was go to the indoor court, like you said, and spend time with them and take an hour and a half, 2 hours out of the day and pepper with them and run drills with them. Little did they know that for me, it was quality time. I mean, they were getting better at it. And so was I at that time, just being able to coach them. But it was just spending that family time with them.
That's awesome. And look, I've seen it. Obviously, I've seen you coach the boys. You've done lessons with Emma, and you've worked with other girls as well. I know that the goal oriented is part of who you are. But tell me about your coaching philosophy and how would you describe yourself as a coach? What do you stress to the younger players as the most important, or how do you? I know a lot of it is the mental game.
Yeah. Oh, look, 80% of this, 80% of almost every sport is mental, and especially with me transitioning into jiu-jitsu at an international level, it's 100%. I see guys that look like they should be working at a library with glasses this thick that'll destroy somebody my size, 135 pounds. That'll just, but it's a mental game, and it's mental. And it's confidence. So me, like that's the biggest thing I stress with my girls. I mean, and so when the past 4 years, I've taken 1 or 2 girls a year. And this is something I usually don't really talk about a lot, but there's parents and I'll talk, and what I'll do is I'll focus on those individuals. Hopefully I get 2 years to do it with them, and I'll usually get them and we'll discuss, what we want to do, how we want to do it. Do you want to go to college? Do you want to play in college? What do you want to do after college? We got to know all these things, because as some coaches, they're all just like go, and let's play. But then again, once volleyball ends, what do they have then? So I kind of keep it real on some on a level to where, hey, this is going to be awesome that you play, but what are you going to do after that? So we get that knocked out the way, and then it's confidence. Building confidence is the most important thing for a young athlete, for any athlete. I don't care what age you are. If you walk onto a court, if you walk onto a mat, if you walk onto a hardwood court, and your confidence level isn't where it needs to be, you've pretty much already taken 25% of your game away. It's just a mental thing. And so that's the biggest thing I focus on. And then so what I do then, and this because I've got this one right here, and then I've got my other one here for other activities. But like you have to goal oriented. Like remember I told him, I said when I'm working with him, I say, hey, what are the 5 to 10 colleges that you would like to play at? Okay, and look, I don't care if they put UCLA, USC, LSU, UAB, any of these schools that have great programs and awesome coaches. I mean, that's fine. And then okay, so that's the schools you want to go to. What are we going to do in high school? What are our grades going to look like? So we segment things out to kind of like, you can't just throw it all together and have it in a big bowl. It's not a mixing bowl. These have to be segmented out, and we do one at a time, because that's why we went to 2 to 3 years. But I've worked with about 6 girls, and all of them have pretty much they've done what they've wrote down what they wanted, and they've all come to fruition. So out of these 6 girls, all 6 have gone to college. I mean, look, there are 2 of them. Meredith was one. She's from the East Coast, and she would come in. And I met her at Louisiana Beach Week 2 years ago. Remember, or 3 years ago, when I threw me and Joey had the big 4-day camp, 3-day camp. Oh, and so she was like, she's like, Coach Shawn, I'm a sophomore. I want to play college volleyball. I was like, have you reached out? No. So then, same thing with Laurel. Laurel was the same way. I met Laurel at that camp, and Laurel was like, so what I normally do is, look, I have multiple businesses. I have kids, I jiu-jitsu and everything like that. So I'm busy, but what I'll do is I like to get them started, initiate them. And then of course the best 2 coaches, well, there's 3 really here that I like to use. There's Joey Keener, McKay Rappold, and then Drew Hamilton. And I can feel the player out and know which one they need to go to, because they're all different. Their styles are different. And I've been coached by pretty much, me and McKay played together. So I know his style very well. And then, of course, and he actually was one of the coaches for my Special Olympic volleyball team. So I know his coaching style. I know Joey's. Joey's IQ is out through the roof, and his transition and translation to people is one of the best. And it doesn't hurt that he sounds like Matthew McConaughey on certain
He
days. You know,
does. He
he's like,
does.
all right, all right, all right. You know, so it's always fun to like. I used to love playing with Joey, especially when you get him excited. He's and then Drew is just like, you know, you got Pinky in the brain. He's the brain. Like that's Drew, and he's a hell of a player. I mean, you can't go wrong. So look, all three of them are, but I mean, you know, Drew is just. I remember watching Drew before I really played a lot, and I was like, man, this guy is a stud. He's from Texas. He was a Texas player, you know.
Yeah.
So but that's the biggest thing, you know. Circling back to what we're talking about. So the number one thing I want to instill in all the players is confidence. Now, not false confidence. Like we're gonna work, and that's another thing is work ethic. The more you work, the more confident you're going to become in yourself, because you know, like I tell them, you put in the time. Like if I got a timeout and we're down by 2 points and it's 19-17, hey, it's not over. We need to get these 2 points, and then you need to transition over and you need to score the next 4, or you need to get 2 points. You know, we went 1 point at a time after that.
Yeah.
Tied up. And so that's another thing, but it's that mental fortitude that I try to train the boys and the girls with. And, you know, it's worked pretty well. I mean, you know, and if parents are on board, a parent has to be on board too. And look, I'm not going to lie with you. To be successful in stuff like the ventures that I've been on, and some of these parents, I mean, look, I know girls like Laurel. She was traveling from Mississippi to Baton Rouge 3 to 4 times a week to work with Coach Drew. And she would stop. Sometimes I would get to work with her. But once she got to that certain point, she was going up. I mean, that's dedication. And some people are like, oh, that's, you know, that's almost a little bit obsessive. Oh yeah, you do. To be successful at a point to where you're going from something you've never done to where you want to be, you have to be obsessive. You're gonna be you're gonna be obsessive, or you're gonna be average. That's just the way it goes. You don't become number one in anything without having that obsession and a love. I mean, obsession without fire is, you're not gonna have that. But I mean, you got to have that internal flame to burn that obsession. So,
well, you have that fire big time for organizing tournaments as well. You alluded to Louisiana Beach Week that you and Joey put on a couple years ago at Coconut Beach. It's coming up this Saturday, the juniors edition, let's call it, for Louisiana Beach Week this Saturday at Mango's. Tell us about this tournament, Shawn. I know Emma and Izzy Abear played in it last year. We came from nationals, AAU indoor nationals in Orlando, just to be a part of this, and we're glad we did. It was a super tournament, and we're going to be in it again this week. Tell us about Louisiana Beach Week at Mango's this Saturday.
So this is the third year that we've had Louisiana Beach Week. This year we're in this again. The second year we're going to have the juniors only for right now. Mango's has stepped up. You know, they're voted the best facility in the whole country. Just they're beautiful. I mean, we've got Coconut Beach as well. They're big, and we've got other facilities. But me and Mango's have collaborated together for a second year, and so it's going to be the same thing right now. Just in signups don't end until Friday, and you know in Louisiana how people are. They wait till the last minute, which is fine. We've already got over 40 juniors teams, 40 girls juniors teams.
Wow.
So, you know, we got for 18U, we're doing something we've very different. I'm going to do a cash payout, you know, now that they got the NIL things going on, and it's not a big deal. But the 18Us, they need to be able to understand that they can play for that now, especially even at adult tournaments.
So they can get cash. Your 18U are going to give some cash awards.
They're going to get cash. Yeah, they're going to get first and second are going to get cash payout. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to like that better than a volleyball. You know, normally they get volleyballs, medals, and T-shirts. I'm sorry for the 16 and 14s girls, but I mean, that's you got to work your way up. But the 14s, I mean, it's the gauntlet of South Louisiana, Southeast. I've got 25 teams already almost.
Wow.
And like that, I've got parents emailing me like they're signing their girls up. I'm like, whoa. So this is 14s is going to be. I'm excited for this. And look, the thing about it is too, like we're going to have multiple nets. Of course, pool play goes to a bracket, but we're probably, you know, we're going to take a majority, maybe the top 4 from each net, which we'll have 5. So they're going to have. It's going to be a long day. And they're gonna get to know what it's really like to be in a top-notch tournament. AVP American, AVP, of course, they're supporting me, and so you can't go wrong with that. And I'm excited. I mean, it's going to be a big. You know, Tim and Tina from Mango's, they're excited too. We talked about it, and the prizes that we, you know, as always, we always do the best prizes, and we try to facilitate everything. And the parents, they love the atmosphere that we create. And so it's going to be awesome. I'm glad you guys are in it. I know Emma, and then they're going to have a blast. But in her division right now, I think in 16 there's 10 to 12 already.
That's excellent.
So we're looking for to get about 15 in there. And so
national qualifier, 2-star AVP event. I mean, you do it up big time, and you're right.
Yeah.
If you plan on entering this tournament, plan on being there for much of the day, and it's well worth it because it's competition city. But
Correct.
Speaking of competition, we talked about it at the onset of this interview, Shawn. Congratulations goes out to you once again. You segue into another passion, which is jiu-jitsu. You go out to Long Beach, California. You've been out there a couple of times now, out at the Pyramid competing. You're a double gold winner in Masters, blue belt, super heavyweight, and an open division. Tell us about this past weekend, what it was like to take your family out there as well. They had a big part of it. But, man, I mean, you just keep winning, my man. You keep winning.
Yeah, it's a mindset, I'm telling you what. But it's preparation. But, man, let me tell you something. This past weekend, last Wednesday, a week from yesterday, was probably the pinnacle of my athletic or sports career. And honestly, because I won double gold. And what was amazing is I had, 30-year black belts, because I've been around the world twice now with this sport, and I've been able to accumulate a lot of wins. I'm number 1 in the world in super heavy, number 2 in overall in blue belts and Masters 4. And so I'm right there. I mean, I've New Orleans is coming up. So look, everybody, if you want to come watch me from July 16th, 15th, I'll be competing in New Orleans at the Lake Pontchartrain Center for the IBJJF NOLA. So that right there will be another good, not easy, but it'll be a good one for the locals to come and watch, and the family will be able to come there. But it was just amazing. And it's in the Pyramid. So it's the adult world championship. So everybody from around the world, all the top competitors from, every country you can imagine. When I walk in there, all you hear is Portuguese, Italian, German. It's wild because it's the biggest tournament of the year. And in the Pyramid, it just makes it so cool. It's like this, but the feeling is unparalleled. When you walk in, you can feel the energy of everybody. Those Brazilians are wild. Look at the soccer and everything. But winning that, having my family there with me, they were my biggest, they were my why as far as they knew it. We had a talk. I said, this is it. I said, this is destiny. I said, I tore my tricep. So you remember I had won my first year as a white belt. I went back as a blue belt. I tore my tricep in the finals last year, and I had to come home early and get an MRI and get fixed up. I had surgery. So I had 12 months. I rehabbed. I trained hard. 4 or 5 days a week I'm on the mats. Yeah. I'm in the gym 3 days a week. And I do some pretty wild workouts. I don't just do weights and lifting. I do stuff like tire flips, log carries, I'm sandbag throws, and just stuff that I think, that's going to help me. Kettlebells. I do a lot of kettlebells, but I keep my strength up. And of course, we got to stay under a certain weight, and super heavy, it's 222. Or if I don't, then it's unlimited, which I do go against those guys in open. But I'd rather just have one match against a guy that's 240 or 310 pounds versus 5 of them.
Right.
So right. Yeah. So but it was amazing. And once the super heavy was an amazing victory. But once you got double gold is something that's a lifetime achievement, especially over there in the Pyramid. When I got off. And this is the thing I love about the sport too, is I had teammates that hadn't made it in yet, so they weren't there. So my family's the only real. I had people like Wendy Jones and all them, and Ashley. She was there from Be Better, one of my sponsors.
Yes,
they came to watch and film. I know, and so I that was awesome. They were there, but when I walked off. And I'm walking in, I had Megadonis and these other guys, these are big names in the sport. These are 30-year black belts. They, I see them all the time and said, how'd you do? I said, I won double gold. So these guys are bringing me in, giving me hugs, and they're like, that's an accomplishment that people only dream of. And I'm like, and look, I was shaking for 6 hours. You can ask my wife, Angelique. She was like, are you okay? I was like, you just can't understand it. It's to fathom it right now. And look, and the way I look at it is this doesn't stop. I do this, every practice, every tournament. And I video everything that I need to. And then another thing is I'm going to do it at purple. I'm going to do it at brown. I'm going to work my ass off to do it at black. Excuse me. I don't know if I can say that, but I'm going to work. And so it's a never ending cycle, of course. And I say that, but we're not done. And look, like I said, and I got to train with Professor Jukau, who is our he's 31-year black belt. I trained with him Monday, and I'm going to train with him again tonight down towards Homa, but I'm sorry, in Golden Meadow. But he told me something that was, he was proud of me, and I was like, thank you. But he said, now that those medals are up and you got them hung up, it's on to the next one. So the next big one, I've got New Orleans, I've got Dallas, and then I've got Vegas, which is the Masters World. So that's going to be the biggest one for me. I wasn't able to do it last year because of my elbow.
Yeah.
But this year, I'm not slowing down any. Like, I already ramped up. I've already, I went to the gym this morning. I got to do some workouts. I do, another big thing is recovery. So I go to Beyond and I do my cryotherapies, my IVs. They take care of my body physically, because at this age at 47, the one thing I have learned, I think that's necessary is recovery. And so I don't want to take a lot of time off, but I need to recover in other ways. Supplementation, my diet's the most important thing. I have Arm Bar and Grill. They actually, the food, they get it down to the macros for me. So I've got 25, 27 meals ready every week. I know what I need to eat, when I need to eat it, how I need to eat it, and then my workouts are planned out. And so it's all, listen, it's preparation. None of this comes easy. Like on my post last night, I said, look, I may have received the medals at the tournament, but I can promise you that the work wasn't done. I worked for these. This is all work. This is
it was preparation. You were prepared and you were confident walking onto those mats. And
that's right.
Man, I couldn't be happier for you.
Thank you,
Shawn.
Thank you.
Right back at you. Thank you for all that you've done for growing the game of volleyball while you're involved with your businesses, your family, Special Olympics, and now jiu-jitsu. It's just amazing how many hours in a day that you have. But hey, thanks for everything. And one more time before we let you out, I want to ask you about your handle for Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Shawn Ledig. It's Rome wasn't built in a day, right?
That's right. Rome wasn't built in a day.
So that's a philosophy that you go by. How
it is, and it's also another thing is so that's my my last name.
Rome,
Ledig was an adopted name, but Rome is, and you may people seen that. I've got it hyphenated right now because we're working to get it put into my name. This is something my grandmother had wanted me to do.
Rome Ledig, yep.
That's right. So you'll see that on Facebook and some of the other, and I'm still same Shawn Ledig on Twitter and all these other social platforms. But Rome wasn't built in a day. Look, nothing comes easy. It takes time and preparation, and it also, it takes persistence is the key to success. That's my biggest. I put that down on everything. On all these whiteboards I've got in my offices. Persistence. Persistence is the key. And it's as long as it's hard to beat, let me put it this way: it's hard to beat somebody that doesn't stop. And that was like in volleyball. Like I knew I was 20 years older than all these other guys. I knew my athletic ability wasn't like it was in college. Like I wasn't jumping 40 something plus inches. You know what I mean? I wasn't, but I knew I was physically comparable, but I wasn't anything special. So I just knew that until the mechanics and the IQ were catching up, I had to just use grit. That's all. It was grit. Grit is what's got me as far as I have gotten in all these things, whether it be business, life, family, sports. It's just like I have a no quit attitude.
Love it.
So yeah.
Well, hey man, congratulations. Thanks for taking some time out of your day for us, and continued success. And we'll see you Saturday at Mango's Louisiana Beach Week Juniors Edition.
Yes, I'll see you there.
See you there. Thanks so much. All right. Time for us to take our first break here on Diggin' It. When we return, we're going to be talking about club volleyball with a very special guest, one of our good friends, and looking forward to talking to Coach Gelon Brandon. Again, this show brought to you by Bayou Granite and Marble, as well as Farm Bureau, St. Charles, St. John Parish, and the Sports Pub and Grill in Destrehan. We're back with Coach Gelon after this.
Since 2000, Bayou Granite has grown to be Southeast Louisiana's largest fabricator of stone countertops. From precise laser measurements to state-of-the-art water jet and CNC machines, we can handle your kitchen and bath needs as well as any commercial projects. Let our expert staff design and customize the right material for your home or business. Stop by our new state-of-the-art fabrication facility and showroom today at 9622 East Main Street, or call us at 985-637-4911. And don't forget to like us on Facebook.
The Sports Pub and Grill in Destrehan has it all. A great place to watch the game, daily drink specials, and you won't believe the food. From our fresh 10-ounce burgers, fully loaded baked potatoes, and great salads too, like taco salad and grilled chicken. Need something to rinse it down with? How about one of our refreshing daiquiris? A great atmosphere for the whole family. Just a few miles west of the airport. The Sports Pub and Grill, 3001 Ormond Boulevard in Destrehan. Welcome back to Diggin It with Eric Richey. Club volleyball is up on the docket for this show, and for that we go to a good friend of ours, Gelon Brandon, who we've known for 4 years, maybe 5 years going back. Our daughters both played club volleyball on 2 different teams, but now you are the club director. I remember you just talking about it in passing when we were just parents sitting in the stands, and now you have 11 teams. You are the founder and club director of Core Elite. Welcome to the show. Congratulations on all you've done. And I want you to give yourself a pat in the back, because what you've done to start a club, a volleyball team, is just unbelievable. So first of all, just kind of set the stage for us right now. How are things going for Core Elite in year 3? Is that right? Year 3? Mm-hmm, so how are things going for you right now? And tell us a little bit about the process.
Sure. So we're in year 3. We started off with 1 team. We now have 11. We actually have 4 regional teams as well. Our program consists of, we do have strength and conditioning. We're partnered with Oxford Performance. That's where our girls attend strength and conditioning. We also have a child psychologist on staff. She's there for the mental toughness side of it. We grew from 1 coach to now we have over 18 coaches on staff. We like you said, we started 3 years ago. You and I was in the stands talking about this, and my husband and I stepped out in faith. We're really good friends, became really good friends with the previous owner of TAV Volleyball in Texas, that he mentored us, John Sample, and we're where we are today.
That's amazing. Mission statement of Core Elite: aspire to inspire before we expire. That's one of the best ones I've seen. I love it. Tell us a little bit about, like you just mentioned, your husband, John, runs the strength and conditioning. You've got Oshner, you've got, the mental side of it as well, the strength and conditioning side of it, not to mention obviously the volleyball. And just go to your website, coreelitevolleyball.com, and just look at the impressive list of coaches that you have. The whole philosophy, it's not just about volleyball, is it? Especially with your club.
Right. It's not. We're a family. That's what we put in anything with Core Elite. We always put the word family first. We embrace the athletes. It's more about them walking away from here. Yes, they're going to be better volleyball players, but we definitely want them to be better overall people totally. So that's what our goal is.
Let's backtrack. Let's start with young Gelon, and you were an athlete. When did volleyball come into play for you? When did you first start getting involved or playing or coaching volleyball? And I know just like I do and what I do, I got into volleyball because of my daughter was playing. Mm-hmm. So tell me about how you started in volleyball.
Sure. So I've been playing since I was in 7th grade. And always had the passion for it. Also ran track, as you know that I run track as well. I'm a director of track and field at a local high school. And then from that point of it, I've been coaching volleyball probably for roughly almost 20 years now. I started coaching volleyball at middle school. Then I went to actually coaching in Texas when we moved there. Took a break from it, wanted to be mom. And then through the process of starting the club, I've gotten back into coaching. I'm actually coaching this year again.
That's excellent. Now, we got a picture of your 11s, right? That's the team that you coach. I know you're coaching other teams to prepare for nationals, but tell me about this team and how special this team is to you, because I've seen you at tournaments, and this is a good team right here.
Yes, they're very special. To me, they're 11U. They're 10 and 11. They're undefeated. They've played in 12U, where they actually went as far as semis, but in their age category, they are undefeated. They're very spicy, super engaged, very positive all the time, brings back the energy in me some days when I'm like, okay, I'm drained. But when I walk in the gym with them, they're awesome. Their parents are awesome. I really don't know what I'm going to do next year if I'm going to continue to coach them, but this has been a great, great group.
Let's talk about, I mean, a whirlwind for you. I'm going to say around 2018, 2019, you are already, firmly established, and Alana is a great player, club player in Texas, and you move back to the New Orleans area. That's when I met you, when we played for the NOLA Travel B team. And then I think you might have been the first of the parents that discovered Coach Sinisha Momich and Wade Washburn doing those clinics.
Yeah.
And you told the rest of us, and we're like, it literally took us one time to have Emma there, and we were believers. I'm like, I love Coach Sinisha and I love Coach Wade. And then we all came over and did next step. And then Coach Sinisha, obviously, and he went on to become the Sacred Heart coach, win a state championship. His wife, I believe, with Oshner, moves to Virginia Beach. And Coach Sinisha, I heard, just got a college coaching job too. I don't know if you saw that on social media. But back to our story. So there they go, and we're like, well, what are we going to do club-wise? And you're like, well, I'm just going to start my own. But again, it's not that easy. So my long-winded question was to get to a whirlwind of Texas, NOLA, next step. And now you're going to say, I'm going to start my own. Tell us the process. What was it like? And there had to have been bumps. But like I said, in 3 years, you have 11 teams. You have 7 going to nationals in a week or two to Orlando. That's amazing. Tell us, if there's somebody out there even thinking about it, what advice would you give them, or what was your roadmap?
Sure. So during the process, I did have bumps. My husband and I, we reached out to our mentor in Texas and was like, is this really what you think we should do? He's like, yes. I mean, you're going to get exhausted. You're bringing a line out here almost monthly for privates. You have the experience. Your husband has the experience. Here's kind of like the blue book, I guess, with what we do in Texas. And then it just kind of fell in place from there. A lot of me doing of research on my own. And I'm here for anybody that want to start a club. That's what I tell. I do mentor other people that's starting clubs, and I'm like, hey, I'm here. If you need me, I can tell you how to find this, the loophole on this. So I'm taking my experiences and passing it on, that somebody don't have to go through some of the bumps we did have to go through.
What's the most rewarding part about all this now for you and for your husband, John, who, by the way, let's give him a little love, Louisiana Tech, former college baseball player, second team all conference. It was a stolen base and defensive whiz. He was awesome. I love John. So please tell him I said hello. But what are the things that you guys are most proud of, what you've established with Corley?
Sure. So we always say it's not the wins when we leave out the convention center or we leave out a facility. It's girls that come back and they embrace, and, they're like, thank you, Coach G. That test we talked about, I passed that test. And right now with 117 girls, I have 60% of girls with a 4.0 or higher. So it's things like that I'm embracing. Of course, we want to win when it comes down to playing as well. But our motto is, Corley, just compete. So long as we're competing at any aspect of it, then we're doing our job.
No, that's fantastic. So tell me about what's coming up on the pike. Obviously, we just talked about nationals. What teams are you sending there? What are your expectations? It's such an exciting time going to Orlando, and just a massive humanity of volleyball. It's a fun time, but it can be intimidating and daunting for the first time if you've never been there.
Yes, I agree. So we take 10U. So at our club here, we do take 10U on above to nationals, so they can get that experience. We're very excited about nationals. We're going into nationals at a good place. We do have some of our teams, 11 and 12U are ranked number 1 right now in the state. 13U is number 2 in the state. So it's time for them to put all that together and take it to nationals. But I will say this, Eric, we would not be where we were if it was not for our coaches. The staff, the parents. I have great parents. I know you hear sometimes there's horror stories about clubs. This season for us have been amazing. Our parents have bought into whatever we said. What we always say is trust the process, and they're trusting the process. And that's why we're so successful right now.
Go ahead, and I know a bunch of them, but go ahead and just let's give some credit to some Corley coaches right now, some of which Emma's played for as well.
Yeah, definitely Daniela. Yep, Daniela was with us at Next Up.
That's right.
She's wonderful. We brought on a lot of experience. We actually have Coach Edwin Torres. He came with us. He has over 30 years of experience. We also have coaches that, like I said, Coach Mary. I can go down the list of them. Coach Eva. We have Coach Kay. She comes with tons of experience, as well as we are mentoring some of our younger coaches. Like we have Coach Tempest, Coach Sophia, Coach Kelly. So if I'm forgetting any of you guys, I'm sorry. But yes, we have so many. Coach Imana, she was a middle at Louisiana Tech. I mean, we're just really blessed right now with a lot of experience.
Yeah, no, it's an impressive list, and you've done a great job. I guess in passing, what do you want people to know about Core Elite, and if they have a youngster that's looking to get into a club, what would you like them to know, and how would they contact you to be a part of something very special that you have brewing?
Right. So what we're doing this summer is we're doing actually the month of July, we're doing some Core Elite clinics. This will give you an opportunity to meet our coaches, actually see our coaches in action. So that will be a great way to start. We also have, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, Twitter. We have our website up, coreelitevolleyball.com. There, and also on the volleyball site is my phone number directly, which people are like, really? You put your phone number out there? But yes, they can contact me directly as well. We're always willing and ready to help as needed. So definitely, if you want to look at Core Elite, that's where you can start.
And I said at the onset of the interview, our daughters competed together, and they have played against each other after playing on the same team for a couple of years. But I want you to talk about Alana, and she is a player, and we've got some video of her from, 3 years ago. So, she's obviously, like Emma, has grown since then. But man, she hit the ball hard then. She does it very well now at Pope John Paul. She played in the state championship game last year as a freshman and was on the court. 8th grade, I remember when Mount Carmel scrimmaged Pope John Paul. She was a difference maker when she came in, even as an 8th grader. Bring us up to date on Alana and what a great player she is.
Yeah, so right now Alana is a rising sophomore. She's putting in work. She's either in the gym or she's with Coach Erica, who we love so much, that will not be her head coach at Pope. She's there 4 days a week with her. If she's not there, she is with Coach Mandy, which is her strength and conditioning coach. And if she's not there, she's with John. So
yes.
So she's getting it in 5 to 6 days a week. But like we told her, if you want to play at the next level, this is what has to take place, and she's totally committed.
Well, I have no doubt she'll be playing at the next level. And as good as a volleyball player, you guys have done such a good job raising her. She's just a quality individual. I love seeing her. You and John God, I can't imagine having somebody in my own house being a strength and conditioning coach, right? When I want to put my feet up on the couch.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go do some sprints or something. But anyway,
always.
Look, I really, really appreciate the time. I wish you the best. And I sincerely say I'm so proud of what you've been able to accomplish. It is amazing, the growth of Core Elite and continued success. Keep doing it. You're doing it the right way, but you know that. And I'm just so proud of you, and thanks for being on the show. Thanks
for having me. This was a great experience for us. We hope that we can touch some people out there. We'd love to have anybody that's interested in Core Elite. And I forgot one coach, Coach Taylor. So thank you so much to Coach Taylor. I was like, am I going to forget somebody?
Who am I forgetting? That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's what I was doing. But yeah, thanks so much for having me. Looking forward to nationals, and thank you again.
All right. We'll see you in Orlando.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Then we'll step aside, take our final break here on Diggin' It. When we return, what's coming up on VSN? We'll find out after this quick timeout.
Since 2000, Bayou Granite has grown to be Southeast Louisiana's largest fabricator of stone countertops. From precise laser measurements to state-of-the-art water jet and CNC machines, we can handle your kitchen and bath needs as well as any commercial projects. Let our expert staff design and customize the right material for your home or business. Stop by our new state-of-the-art fabrication facility and showroom today at 9622 East Main Street, or call us at 985-637-4911. And don't forget to like us on Facebook.
Hi, my name is Will Sermon from St. Charles St. John Parish Farm Bureau. On behalf of my entire staff, I want to wish all the players and coaches the best of luck. Real service, real people.
Welcome back. Time to wrap up Digging It with Eric Richey. What's coming up on VSN? Well, it's the summer months, but we still have plenty of content. It starts with an inside look at the St. Thomas More girls soccer team making history as Coach Daniel Underwood's team won an unprecedented 6th consecutive state championship. This is a great story put together by the team and the members at St. Thomas More's production crew. They went behind the scenes and just got some great footage as you can relive a historic season for STM soccer. Also, one of the new syndicated shows on VSN is a podcast, Chopping It Up with Buck. And that's Charles Arbuckle, a former Saint tight end, played for the Colts, USC tight end. I actually used to do stories and shows with Charles. He was an analyst when I was the sports director at Fox 59 in Indianapolis. We would do Colts post-game shows, and he was our analyst, Charles Arbuckle. Remember when Jim Morris said, playoffs? That was a live post-game show that was brought to you on Fox 59. Charles Arbuckle was our analyst for that show. But Chopping It Up with Buck podcast, you'll see that on varsitysportsnow.com, as well as you might have just seen the NCBA Club Baseball World Series. Penn State won that. All those games from that tournament were on VSN. They're still on demand, but they've chopped up some highlights to go back to Chopping It Up with Buck. They've put some highlights of that entire tournament together. That is also available right now on varsitysportsnow.com. That will do it for this episode. I want to thank our director producer, Justin Thomas. A great job as always, as well as our guest, Shawn Ledig and Gelon Brandon. I'm Eric Richey. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Diggin It.